Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for prize fighters, circus freaks, and gangsters, where we discuss the fun, fashion, food, fraud, and fricassee of the 19th century. I am Jamie, and with me as always is my trusty co-host. What is your name?
Greta.
Greta! And we are discussing Season 3, Episode 9 of Warrior. All of Death is a going home. It was a weird...
My only question is, dude, what's the body count?
With a grammar like that, my brain just hiccups every time I read it. I'm like, all of death. The A in there just, my brain literally hiccups. But this was...
It's archaic poetic language. Hop on board to the 19th century, man.
I guess so. I got to get with it. Oh, well, this was quite an episode, was it not?
It was. And boy, bam, did it start right off where we left off.
You know, so we're on the heels of two already, really ridiculously action-packed episodes.
Right.
So I thought we were going to be kicking back this week. I thought we were going to, I poured myself a Mai Tai. I was ready for, a little love and romance. And no, we got no Mai Tais. We got Lie, though.
We got Lie.
We got Lie versus Strickland to open the show, which is something.
Yeah. And Lie has not learned. She's still running around with a lot of hot anger, and she decides to play with her food.
Somebody neglected to inform this lady that there are weight classes for a very specific reason.
Yeah.
And I will point out that, so in 1877, around this time, my very favorite 19th century swashbuckler, Colonel Thomas Hoyer Monstry, was a fencing coach at the Olympic Club in San Francisco, which is where all of the rich people in San Francisco exercised. And Jem Mace, the champion boxer of Britain, actually got his ass kicked in boxing by a lightweight in this gym.
All right.
So Strickland would have been a bad man. So William Muldoon was the strongman coach there. They had these lightweights in their gym were knocking out heavyweights. Mm-hmm. So Lie really picked the wrong one.
Yeah.
If she could have gone through a list of people not to fuck with, he should have been very high on the list.
Yeah,
very, very high.
She needed to know that Strickland doesn't get ready. The man stays ready. He was so ready for this. I mean, she had fun killing his bodyguard. He was just a flunky. But you don't, it's just like with Toy. You don't threaten Strickland. You either just kill him or you leave him alone. There's no play. Don't play with the man.
No, she should have stabbed him in the back of the neck with a sword before he even thought about coming at her. But that never happened.
Yep. So that ended badly. I mean, they don't... Yeah. But we get another...
They didn't even show it. It was so bad.
Yeah.
They didn't even show it.
Yeah. She
got her ass whipped, and then she was on the ground, and her sword was out of her reach, and he put it into her hand so she could continue.
That is some contempt right there.
Well, I mean, but by the same token, Father June would have appreciated that.
Mm-hmm. That's true. But after that, we get the season 1 flashback. There's O'Hara, and he's in the house, and the kids are making...
I will take issue, actually, with one thing in that fight scene, by the way. If we could back up 1 second.
Please.
She was fighting right because she was slashing at his hands and his wrists, which would have made it very difficult for him to wield a sword with the arm that she slashed.
True.
But he continued to wield with that hand. I took an issue with that, but I'm going to go ahead and let it slide because... I'm not in charge of the show.
You're not. No. And who knows? The man wears, I don't know, really thick, long underwear. I don't know.
Who knows? Yeah, it could have just been a glancing blow.
Right.
Maybe it didn't cut any of the tendons that are sitting right against the skin in your forearm. It's possible.
It's very
Maybe
possible.
he has adamantium bones and tendons. He could be Wolverine.
I don't know. I mean, the man does have a lot of money. You don't know what he's doing with that money.
That's true. I'm not in his pockets. All right.
Okay, so season 1 flashback. Kids are making noise in the O'Hara household, and Bill is so messed up, can't even get himself dressed.
Yep. And then there's a knock on the door.
Boom, boom.
And did you thought he was getting arrested, right? I thought he was getting arrested.
Lucy thought he was getting arrested.
And he got promoted.
Because, for some reason, the current chief, soon to be ex-chief, is in no shape to go to work. Jaw's wired shut. He's in traction,
And Buckley is in no way disappointed in this outcome at all. He's like, no, this is nice. I like the way this is all working out.
And nobody's like, dude, he's your fault. Nope, we're all just going to let that slide because everybody is happy about this.
Buckley had quite a line there too. O'Hara's like, well, what are we going to do with Strickland? And he's like, well, if we can find a way to deport hundreds of Chinese, I think we could find a way to get rid of one Protestant from New York.
Yes, rid ourselves of one New York Protestant. Oh, I love delicious.
He was so arch. He was so arch.
And the funny thing, of course, is he's like, well, having a police chief that comes in and decides he's, the new cock of the walk and is just gonna make a mess of things. I'm gonna suck up slightly. I don't go to church. I don't care, but I'm gonna suck up slightly to my new chief so we can have a more congenial relationship.
Yes. Also, I think he realized the value of those Irish votes. He's like, all these Irish guys are against me, so maybe I should just go the way this is flowing.
Yeah, because, he tried to be the guy out in front. He's still going to be the guy out in front because he's married, but he's like, nope. I need to continue to go with the flow, and that's how I got everything good in my life.
Exactly.
Then we are with Sahm and Yeonmi, and Yeonmi, she knows I'm dead soon if I stay in town.
But she's kind of in disbelief. She's like, wait, it's happening right now? And he's like, yeah, it's happening right now. And she's like, right now? Are you sure? Does he really want to kill me?
Like right this second? Yep.
Boy, that shows how much moving just fucking sucks. I mean, you're in the middle of it right now, but even when your life is in danger, you're like, maybe I should just get killed.
Really? Oh, God. Okay, there's that one drawer I just don't want to go through. Is it worth it? I don't know. And, Sahm is like, he's seeing his future. He's like, look, I don't want to fight him about this, but let's face it. I am a gangster to my bones, and I'm going to have to do something. I don't want to. See, he also doesn't want to move.
Nobody wants to move. It doesn't matter how bad your living situation is. Moving always is worse. Right. Even if it'll improve your living situation at the end, it's like, I don't know if the middle part is worth it.
It's a lot of work. Yeah. Yep. But, who is not moving, who's staying, in fact, he gets to go back, is O'Hara, and he just bangs into the room. I'm back! And these are idiots, but they're my idiots. And, you can just see, he just, this is so nice. Good to be back.
And, that brings us to the subject of breakfast. And here's going to be our clip for the week. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you I'm just saying it so you can just start right here. It is the issue of breakfast and lunch and dinner and all the snacks, which were, I was given to believe, comprised of various things. But in reality, especially on the East Coast, but I'm sure on the West Coast too, it consisted of one thing, and one thing basically only, and that thing is so unspeakably disgusting, I am pounding my desk.
What is it?
Oysters, everybody. If you want to know what the secret food that everybody was eating, all of these lifters back in the day, oysters. They smelled like beer and oysters 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, slurping down 8-inch oysters that they just hove out of the sea with their own bare hands that were...
Oh, no. You had people to do that for you if you were a lifter.
And in New York. So when we discussed the gangs of New York, I mentioned the pond that they all built there. They're the first little town around. And that pond was basically paradise, where everybody you could just pull any food you wanted to out of the ground. It was easy as hell. They had beautiful oysters. They were 8 inches around like dinner plates.
Yes.
When the white people showed up, they started throwing all their shit and piss into that, but still eating the oysters. And then they barred
Cholera oysters. Very well known for their cholera oysters.
Delicious. And they kept some of them in a slime pit. Can you tell us about the slime pit oysters?
I do not know about slime pit oysters. This is new to me.
So there was a special tangy flavor of oyster that was very popular in New York that they kept them in a slime pit. And these were desired, like they were I don't even know what a slime pit is. Can you conceive of what a slime pit is?
I can't, like, speak, because I know pickled oysters were a big thing, but they would like pickle them in a barrel somewhere. Were these like quasi-fermented?
I think so. Yeah. Well, but they had a tang that people really enjoyed, and it was from the shit and piss water that these things were all soaking in. So I'm sure that the slime pit was just part of the runoff. I'm gonna have to look this up. I'm having trouble with this. It's all disgusting. But so oysters, it doesn't matter where you were living, you were eating oysters all the time. And this is just.
If you were on the coast, people in the middle did not eat the oysters.
Why? Just because they were abundant? And then they banned anyone who might have needed to eat for free from picking oysters out of the ocean. It was illegal. So if you were a slave or you were poor, you were not allowed to pick oysters for free from the water.
Oh, dude, there were oyster wars. I talked about pemmican wars. There were also oyster wars.
So, just when did we stop with the oysters? So I can know when.
When we ran out of them. Like, we just ate them all.
So we ate all of the snot of the sea.
Yeah.
Do you like oysters?
I do like some oysters.
Interesting.
I do not like all oysters.
Can you imagine eating an 8? I mean, because oysters are small, as I've seen them. They're like the size of a dollar coin. An 8-inch oyster, I mean, you would be chewing on, because that's a big tongue you're eating.
Well, they tended to cook them. Raw oysters is like either a fisherman thing or a rich people thing. Mostly, not entirely, but a lot of the oysters that people were eating were cooked.
Okay. And then they would burn the shells. So not only did they pollute the water and everything, but now the skies are filled with the soot from burning. And I didn't even know you could burn oyster shells, but apparently you burn it for lime.
Yes, and that's how you make cement. Like the Romans knew this. There's our entire archaeology papers on all of these different places along the coast in the early colonies burning oyster shells for lime to make cement.
I'm looking up oyster nutrition as you talk, because I'm curious, were they filled with omega-3s? Like, were these turning people into superhumans? Do we all need to develop a taste for these things?
I mean, they are, very, full of protein and have some essential fattiness to them. And so if you're in a world that saves every last goddamn scrap of fat. Yes.
In a world where people are eating oysters.
You're going to love you some fatty oysters, whereas clams have no fat.
Okay. Yeah, so it's 11 grams of fat per 8 grams of protein, and somehow 10 grams. Oh, that's fried oysters have 10 grams of carbohydrate. But it's like, where the hell are the carbohydrates coming from? But that's interesting. So it's it would work well on keto. It makes sense. Yeah, that's a calorically dense food. Yeah. That would definitely be bulking food.
Yeah.
But
and think about it, pickled oysters, you could just pull as many oysters out of the ocean as you could possibly do, blah, 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 and then pickle them, and then they keep for months that way.
Well, I just have to say thank you to all the people who ate all the oysters, and also to Orville Redenbacher for giving us snack food that isn't oysters. Jesus Christ.
It's just the American thing. We find something that's abundant, and then we completely use it up as fast as we freaking can.
I think that's a human thing, isn't it? I mean, we've been doing that as long as there's been humans. They weren't, and with the oysters, the rich people were burning live oysters for the lime because they didn't want the poor people to eat them.
Oh, okay, yeah, I buy that. That is very, yep. I mean, it is a human thing, but the Americans were some of the first ones to sort of mechanize the process. But we'll get into that more later. I promise.
Yay! All right. So now Lee and Mosley, both of whom have a belly full of oysters, are congratulating O'Hara, who also has a belly full of disgusting sea snot.
Good Lord, Jamie. Point to the doll where the oysters hurt you.
They're so gross. Oh my God. They're so gross. That texture is just, it's unspeakable.
Well, you know, there are some good oysters, there are some bad oysters, and
All
not
right.
everybody has to like oysters. That's cool. Okay, but
if you kicked a cow into the ocean and it swam for an extended period of the time, it's yours. I wouldn't eat that either. Nope. No, thank you.
Well, let's get back to some action.
Shall we?
We have Atoy telling Sahm, you know, she's joining the list of people telling him that you got to grow up and make a dang choice, and standing in the middle is not a choice. I mean, it is, but it's a bad choice, so get over it and move on, man.
He has played Frogger as long as a human being could play Frogger. He has just jumped from lane to lane to lane to lane, never going to one side or the other.
And Mai Ling knows it's T for 1 from now on. No more T for 2 like it was the other day.
Oh, yeah. She knows she is never, ever going to be safe again. And it's very clear with the 10 bodyguards she has ringing the room that she's in.
Yeah.
With her a dead smack in the center. So nobody could they had to get through the 10 people first.
Yep. And the flunky is like, okay, yeah, I agreed to be your bodyguard because you might kill me, but this guy might also kill. I don't like this.
Yeah, because Li Yong shows up and he's eyeballing everybody, and one of the bodyguards grabs him, and he just immediately starts choking shit out of the man. He's like, I could kill you easily, sir. You're just... And the guy's like, please, Li Yong. And he lets go of him.
Yes.
And then he takes off his jacket.
Yeah.
So he is done
like,
with
you know
the
what?
tongue, I think.
This is not good. This is only going to end in my swift and painful death. Maybe I would just want out.
Yeah, maybe are we gonna see Sahm and Li Yong team up with Yan Mi and a new Tong, a third Tong in the ring?
No, I think Yan Mi would just get out of town. She realizes she doesn't have what it takes to be a gangster. She's not down for that.
No, but she just wants to be Sam's wife. So or does she think she's scared? She's gonna get him scared straight, and the two of them are gonna, open a leather goods store, start selling turquoise and silver and leather goods.
I don't know. She strikes me as somebody who understands she doesn't have as many chances. So I think when she gets the chance to skip town, she's going to skip town.
And she can open up a newspaper literally wherever they go. And hell, they could do it in 2 languages. They could do it in Chinese and English.
And English, yes.
Make a killing.
But I don't think she thinks, playing extra chances with Sahm is her bag, because gangstering may not be what she wants to do.
Oh, you think she's going to dip out on Sahm?
Well, I think she is going to leave. I don't know what Assam's going to do, but I think she has decided she does not want the gangster life. And if she sticks around, that's how it's going to go.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I see the two of them staying together. So maybe it's a hopeless romantic in me.
Okay. She just strikes me as much more clear-eyed than just about every other character on this show.
Well, she did start banging a gangster, so it's not...
I didn't say she was the smartest person. I just said more clear-eyed than anybody else on the show.
Than any of these people in this
bar's not that high.
laudanum-filled haze that everybody's in.
Right? I mean, when we started season 2, I'm like, well, nobody's making any good choices. This is not a group of people making good choices. So if she just makes fewer extremely bad choices, already doing so much better.
The bar is so low. Although I
Exactly.
often feel like my life is like that. It's like, maybe if I just stop making 10 bad decisions a day, cut it down to 9, I'll be in much better shape.
Better shape. Yes. Yes. And so Mai Ling realizes she is out of good choices. That's not going to stop her from making choices. But Lai is truly the child of bad choices. And so, yeah, Nellie shows up with, just a very messed up Lai corpse.
And Nellie is ready for some bloodshed, sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Nellie is like, all right, I think they've killed enough people. Let's start cutting people. And she's already blasted on some people, so she's ready. She's like, I got the shotty. Let's get this.
Yeah. I mean, but Atoy's like, told you so. It always comes out this way. Another piece of grief. I got to put it away in another box in the back of my brain. Like, I know how to do this. Ugh. Blah.
Well, it was Lai's fault that she's dead.
It is, but
I mean, Lai might as well have just thrown herself into a wood chipper while she was at it.
It's very true, but Atoy was like, I thought I had a chance with this one. Damn it.
Nope, her Padawan got away from it. It was exactly like with Yoda and Luke, except Luke managed to get back there, minus a hand, but should have stayed and finished his training before he went off.
He's the blonde farm boy, so his plot armor's better.
I don't know. I mean, Lai is pretty much a farm girl, so it's basically the same thing. Oh, well, I guess that's what you mean. The plot armor. He's white and a man, so he's gonna live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
I see. I'm with it.
Yeah. Yep. Speaking of guys who think they've got a lot of plot armor and so far have been proven right, Strickland. Leary, come walk with me, for I have cleared the way for my 1,000 years of domination.
Let us stand upon this platform and gaze upon all of the lands that I own. All of the lands within my domain, yes.
Thick-headed Leary is just like, well, that won't be easy because, the cheap Chinese labor is about to go away.
Just naive as shit.
Strickland, what in the world are you talking about, son? No.
Well, but then you get that. This is where I love Leary. It's like, oh yes, I love the stubborn bastard. Like, let's go, people who are working against their own financial interests for their own nobility. Like, go Leary, because he's like, oh, you double crossed me, motherfucker, and then he just turns around and walks away. And Strickland's like, oh, he'll come around. Like, he's certain. He's like, he knows that I've got all the money, so he's gonna come back around. And Leary's like, I got something for all that fucking money, huh?
Yeah, but he does. Strickland just turns his back on him. He's like, I will continue to survey my domain.
And you can see Leary's hands are clenched. He's like, people keep turning their backs on me. Yeah. He's not going to take it much longer.
Last straw.
Oh, and he throws in your people do half the work for twice the money. So, like, I'm not hiring any of those fucking Irish.
Yeah, like, no, don't you... Yeah. I mean, Strickland is like, no, I'm squeezing every last turnip for every last drop of blood. So, yeah.
You know what's funny to me? It never occurred to the people in charge of these railroads that people who are well-fed work at a much, much higher level of efficiency than people who are starving to death.
Well, you feed them enough, but... do you know how much work it is to do logistics? I mean, that's like so much work.
Apparently it's more than rich people can handle. I know. It's poor rich people. We shouldn't put so much on them.
Right? I mean, do you know how much work it is to stand up there and look noble? I mean, just the clothing wardrobe to begin with. But, I mean, then I have to do work about it? Come on. What do you think? What's going on here?
It was this guy getting down on his knees every night and praying for Ronald Reagan to be born, and that's how Reagan became president. It was all, the seeds were planted in California.
They truly, truly were. I mean, somewhat with the defense industry, but that's a whole nother thing. But anyway, so let's move back to young June, and he is realizing things are coming to an end, and he is just like, how can I stab my way out of this, Doc? Come on. There's got to be something I could do, right?
What? So blood poisoning is what exactly?
Well, there's a couple of different versions of it. There's like the stuff that kills you quickly. Okay.
Well, what? So what are we speculating Father June has? Because he hasn't died quickly, right? So it's got to be okay.
So that the blood poisoning that they always like scared you about as a kid, like that's like this really virulent bacterial infection. And so what Father June probably has is some other kind of like slow moving bacteria.
Is that what toxic shock syndrome is basically? Is the bacterial infection?
No, toxic shock is when your body has a really super severe allergic reaction.
Oh, okay.
But what Father June probably has is, he had an abdominal wound. Some part of his gut was probably nicked. And so he's got just like a fever that's sort of like spreading throughout his body. And so it's not a fast moving thing. It's more of a slow moving thing, but he's probably getting really high fevers, which is giving him all of like, these cognitive problems because, your body temperature gets over about like 104 and your brain just doesn't work right anymore. And so it can actually start to like degrade your nervous system, degrade your brain. Your body chemistry just gets completely effed.
Gotcha.
And if they don't have like, ICU.
Oh, so this is the whole gut shot thing from the Old West. I gotcha. I just, it's trying to put the stuff you read about together with the stuff you know about is sometimes not easy.
And, in this case, Father June's problem was that the Chinese doctors are actually half decent. If they had been sucky Western doctors, he could have just died.
He would have been dead in 3 days, like they always said in the Westerns. Oh, he's been gut shot. He'll be dead in 3 days.
and that's the whole thing here. Like, Father June is like, dude, I don't really want to go on. I was, this awesome, gangster dude. Everybody feared me and loved me and I had cool clothes and you just want me to like wither away pissing myself in bed? No, this is not dignified. I am a warrior.
Yeah, and he basically just says, I won't respect you until you fucking kill me. And so...
No, I don't want to.
But I mean, what son who isn't a piece of shit does want to kill his dad? Even in a mercy killing, it's still fucking horrific. Like,
right. Yeah, but Father June is just like, stop being a little bitch and just take care of it.
It was brutal. That was a brutal scene.
That was incredibly brutal. I mean, I'm still not sure how I feel about young June sort of slitting his throat that way.
I mean, it's assisted suicide. It's like, I mean, my dad made me promise him, like, if I had to hold a pillow over his face, I would do it. So, like, I don't know. I guess dads do that shit.
Yikes. And I can sort of see with everything that Father June has been through, he didn't want to just like OD on like a lot of, like, that wouldn't have been cool. He wanted to go out some warrior-ish thingy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's do an escapism, Jamie. Let's go to Marcel's place.
Let's go to Marcel, where there's no race lines, no gender lines, and Hong is living life.
Yes. I mean, there's music, there's smooching, there's drugs, there's drinking, there's fancy clothes. And boy, what a hell of a time to have somebody discover that not all Chinese look alike after all.
So for anybody who's been watching this show and they might be taking issue with the because if you look at the comments online sometimes with even with commercials, there are some individuals in our society who are very in their feelings about the multicolored variety. There's never two white people in a commercial now. It's always like people of the different rainbow, and people get very angry about it. Like, where are all the white men? And so in this party, there's black people, there's white people, there's Asians, there's everybody, and everybody's Chicano, kissing everybody, everybody's touching everybody, and it's because they were all the scum of the earth. Like, so it didn't matter what color you were because you were in a class where none of that shit mattered. Like, everybody hated you, so these people were completely free within the confines of their little party. And
and they'd also paid their money to be in this party. Like, it's like if you can pay the door fee, that's all that matters.
There you go. And so who shows up at this party but somebody who we've seen in one of the earlier episodes this season, huh? It was one of the two giant Irish cops.
Yes.
Who did they beat up at the beginning of this season?
Didn't they beat up
it had to do with Yan Mi, I think.
Yeah. Like getting the printing press away from the cops. Like yeah.
Yeah. So he shows back up and starts hitting on Hong, and Hong recognizes him.
Yes. I mean, this guy at the time he was beating up Hong was still of the, all Chinese look alike. But now that he's at the party, he's like, hey, you're pretty.
Oh, yeah, because he was in the raid. So he was one of the guys who was smashing shit up. Yes. So Hong knows him well, and he is ready to kill.
And everybody at the club is like, dude, no.
Yeah. He might have killed that guy. You hit somebody with a champagne bottle, they're probably going to die. I mean, there's a good chance.
Yep. And they're like, no, everybody in here they paid their money at the door. All their past is disappeared. And Hong's like, no, man. Some pieces of reality are too pointy. They poke right through your veil of pretendiness.
You were having none of his manic pixie bullshit.
That is right. It's the end of the manic pixie dream girl. You may get to live on this cotton candy cloud, but I got to go back out there, man. And yeah, I cannot forgive a guy who strangled me and helped beat the shit out of my bro. So, no.
So, yes, Hong possibly kills a cop at Marcel's party, which is problems for Marcel as well as Hong, as well as everybody else who's at that party.
Mm-hmm. Because, I don't think that, normally if you have a cop at your party, it's cool because the cop's like, no, it's okay. But I don't know if a cop would, want to say he was at that party.
Yeah. That's, and that seems to be something that I recall hearing about. Well, I mean, shit, it happened with Hoover, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess
J. Edgar, for those of you young.
Yes, not good old Herbert Hoover.
Had his own problems, but not that one.
I actually don't know shit about Herbert Hoover except he completely failed us in the Depression.
He was one of those I'm a liberal, but I don't understand how people actually live.
Oh, yep. Well, rich people problems.
You got it. So
Leary blows up a bridge. He's back to exploding stuff.
I was going to say, who doesn't have rich people problems? Leary and his dumb kids who he's like, hey, I saved your ass. Time for a little payback. Let's go. I don't know how I feel about this. Doesn't matter. I saved you. You're working for me now.
And so I did a little research because I was curious if the Dennis Kearney, who Leary is based upon, actually did any of the explodey stuff that Leary is doing. And so insofar as I could find, he couldn't, or that he didn't. So those Sandlot rallies that we saw Leary leading that were kind of across from City Hall.
Sure.
That's actually what Dennis Kearney was known for. And so he was real big in rabble rousing, and he would, at one point, he approached a stockbrokers meeting, which was kind of this meeting that he was in with Strickland. Mm-hmm. He told the stockbrokers to remember Judge Lynch. And I didn't look up the story of Judge Lynch, but he is famous character because he's mentioned all the time. He's mentioned in news stories. He's mentioned in, so he's just, I guess he was a famous judge who got lynched and had an ironic name. But, so he did say, remember Judge Lynch, but he never actually went and did any of the revolution shit that he said he was going to do. Instead, he mobilized all the Irish people and just ousted everyone in the California government who was not in the California Working Man's Party. And then they regulated the railroads and forced them to do the shit. So they actually did the right shit legally. I mean, it was for the wrong reasons, but they got the railroad regulated.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, damn.
Yeah, okay. So that was one time when life was actually smarter than the films, which is rare. Very rare. Usually criminals are much smarter in the movies than they are in real life.
Well, dang. But yeah, Leary is definitely done with this, iron hand in the velvet glove. He's like, I am just not a velvet glove guy. It's all straight iron hand. Let's go.
I've never heard that aphorism before. That's a fun one. No.
Oh my goodness. No. It's always sort of this be the strength, but be hidden strength. I mean,
be the bad guy and Inspector Gadget with his metal hand petting the cat.
Yeah. I mean, that's sort of that's pretty much Strickland's whole deal. That's his thing.
Yep.
So, and Leary's like, nope, that's not my thing. Mm-mm. So you're talking about Yeonmi doing I don't want to move. She's realizing, shit, probably should have moved.
Yep. She's in jail. And jail does not look good for anybody. Because in the movies, a lot of times somebody is in jail and they just look the same way. The second you get into jail, you immediately look worse than the second before. It ages you 5 years immediately. Yeah.
Yes.
And that definitely showed on her. It was cool.
Yeah, it's not just the lighting either. And she figures she has no connections. I mean, yeah, there's the whole Sahm thing, but she's also not used to having any connections. So, yep, she feels like, yep, wow, boom. Okay. The funniest thing to me about that whole interaction, though, is you have brought shame on your family. Like, in some part of Yeonmi's brain, I think she always knew her dad was eventually going to say that to her about something she did. She's like, yeah, big deal. Like, I knew that was coming from you, but she's like, God damn it, but it involves the police. Shit. So, anyway, yeah. We get our second official body of the episode.
Ooh, Father June?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of knew he was dead, but now he's officially a body.
Well, he did have his throat slit. So, well, it wasn't his throat slit, but I mean, his carotid was severed and he bled out into the bed. So
yes.
He was not going to spring back to life from that one.
No. And Chao is just like, kind of wish the other goodbye was the real one. Like, I could tell he kind of wished Father June had, like, disappeared into the wind and gone off to have adventures they could all imagine with. But
well, he did.
Well. Yeah.
He did, but then he came back. Yeah, but that's where we get the title of the episode, because Chao is giving a eulogy, and or as I prefer to pronounce it, eugoogly. And he
do you wear white to
he said
funerals?
All of life is a dream talking. All of death is a going home.
Yes. And when he says, he died knowing his legacy was secure. Now, I don't feel like Chao believed that when he said it.
No, he said it as a compliment to young June.
Yes, he did. But I was like, he did, the way he said it was so good, though, because it was sort of like so familiar when you see people saying things at funerals, and you're like, they need to say that. That has to be said, but they don't believe that. And young June, the look on his face is like, wow, there is no possibility he'll reappear. I can't refer to, wow, there's no takebacks. Like, this is it. And whoa, yeah, I am so screwed.
I think we all have that kind of feeling when we're at our father's funeral. Or have you had to attend any of your parents' funerals?
No, no. I have just all my grandparents, but no parents yet. Knock on wood.
Yeah, there's definitely an element of holy shit. Who the fuck do I ask? I have nobody to ask for advice now. So now I'm just this is just me. My ass is just hanging in the wind. I got nothing. I'm just out here by myself.
Yeah, I mean, I have had a couple of friends who have lost both parents, like in their 60s, and I mean, the parents were in their 60s, and it's like, oh shit, like, even though I'm a total entire grown-up, I am an orphan now. Like, I suddenly feel orphaned.
Yeah.
And it's a terrifying...
You have no one to ask, nothing. Yeah, it's scary as shit. Every morning is scary, because you're like, oh, I have all these problems presenting me, and no one I could ever ask about it, ever.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So that's why young June looks like that. It's a bit of good acting.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Strickland.
Yes, this is the scene. This is the scene that I was referring to when, like the board of directors or the stockbrokers or whatever that Leary approached. Yeah, I think this was really it was a neat at least a little bit that I read about. It was kind of a cool bit of life imitating art, because the little bit of a threat where where Leary says men like me are the only ones who could stop men like you.
Yes.
Because Strickland says, do you think a man like you could defeat a man like me? And he's like, yeah, I'm the only man who could do that. And he has a point.
Yeah, and there's a lot of fun going on sort of in the staging of this. It's another flashback to season 1 where Leary walks into a fancy dining room. That time I think it was Mercer. But it's also kind of a reflection of Strickland, or no, Thayer's confrontation with Buckley.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm the favored son. I should have won this all. You jumped up, nobody from nowhere. What do you think you're doing? And Buckley's like, oh, no, I'm your worst nightmare. And I don't care about your past because I am the future, kind of thing.
Right.
But it was also fun with Leary because Strickland made his whole thing like, sometimes it's just the principle of the thing and everybody has something that they value. And as long as you can like take that away. And Leary's basically saying, yeah, you may have all this power, but you have no power over anything I value. You don't have access to that, bub.
Bub.
And once again, turns his back on Strickland. Things aren't looking good for Strickland. Because Nellie and Ah Toy are also like, they're trying to come up with some badness to go down for Strickland as well. So he may be the most powerful, most richest railroad-backed dude in San Francisco, but apparently there's a limit to the number of people you can fuck with.
Yeah, he's facing a coalition of the willing that consists of like the Irish, the Chinese, 2 different Chinese gangs. Like,
right.
Everybody wants to kill this fucking guy.
And he's starting to piss off Buckley too. Like
next thing he's gonna do is just like walk into Vegas place and like slap a Spanish woman or something,
right.
And then he'll have all the Barbary Ghosts after him as well.
Right. Okay, so once again, here's a place where Jamie was right, and I did not believe you. And you said that Sahm would mess up people over Yan Mi. I was like, I don't know.
Yep.
But you were correct. The answer is yes. Yes, he will.
Oh, I can spot a man who will ruin his life over a woman as well as any man who has ruined his life over a woman.
There you go. And all that time that Lee spent messing around in Chinatown, it's about to come in handy. And Mosley has actually learned, like, maybe I'll just let these people do their thing. I don't need to get myself into the middle of everybody's fight.
Mosley knows how to pick his battles.
That is very true. Like that is where his like 30,000 foot view of humanity. Yep. Like he remembered to do that again.
That grinning fuck. Happy Jack.
Yeah.
Bringing the lulls. But yes, Sahm tells Chao what's going on, and Chao is not real happy with the proceedings. Because Chao is one of those guys who has never ruined his life for a woman and has just always been the guy who is standing on the dock, like telling his friend, like, you are ruining your life for nothing, as the guy's like pouring gasoline all over the dock, and then he just keeps pouring gasoline all over his feet while he's on the boat and on himself and everything but the girl, and then he and then lights the whole thing ablaze and pushes off from the dock on a flaming ship.
Yeah. Nope. Yeah. And Chao is like, seriously, dude, yep. You is this really worth blowing all of this up for? Like, when he says that, I was kind of cracking up. I'm like, Chao, all of this, the hopway, the longzy, the counterfeiting, the secrets, like, this isn't gonna blow up on its own. Like, I mean, yes, Sahm might be getting it going sooner, faster, more, but this is not a situation that we can just wait out. This is going to come to a crashing end at some point.
Yeah, the U.S. federal government is coming. So it's just a matter of how many guns are they going to bring. So him being like, yeah, it's over there is actually saving a lot of lives.
Yeah. Let's get this over quicker. Yeah. But the whole thing is like, oh, yeah, if this all goes south, this could be your fault because of what you did, Sahm. And I was like, okay, that's not true. I mean, the direction the explosion goes, they might have some influence in it, but this is gonna go kablamo. Yeah, no, you are on a melting ice rink, my man.
Maybe he's just wondering, like, all right, so Lee is definitely coming here next. Where the fuck am I gonna hide Assam's money so that Lee doesn't find it?
Yeah, right. Like, do I have a chicken coop I can stick it under? I don't know. But we get that super ironic, the Three Musketeers meeting up and all like pledging their loyalty to each other and like, yeah, man, got the gang back together. We're here for each other forever, right? Oh yeah, totally, yeah.
Yeah, as they're all looking around and Hong's like, oh shit, these guys are a fucking disaster and are gonna kill each other. Young June's looking at Sahm like, I wonder when am I gonna have to kill you? And Sahm is thinking, all right, I need to get the fuck away from these two idiots. But I'm sure he still has that vestigial, like, oh yeah, we are bros, 3 amigos against the world, yada yada yada, bros before hoes, whatever you guys say.
Yeah, no, I feel like they're all kind of saying it, but all looking at each other out of the corner of each other's eyes. They're just like, yeah, yeah. I mean, the only truthful thing said in this entire thing is when young June tries to change the subject. It's like, yeah, Hong's got a boyfriend. And Hong's like, no, I brought my work home with me, so that's over. I'm like, that was the last honest thing that was said.
That was a really funny line too.
Yeah.
I brought my homework or my work home with me.
And I kind of love that because so often when you have any gay couple break up, there's like some like super tragic reason instead of them just being idiot people, which is what that was. Yeah. And I'm like, yes,
they're just,
it's like a normal breakup.
Just human beings.
Yeah. That was pretty cool.
Nah, she said she hated Anchorman too, so I told her to kick bricks. Like,
right? Exactly. That's exactly where that was the same level of stuff. And I was like, yeah, see, that's like a breakup that any other two people would have. Like,
well, except for the fact that he committed an attempted murder at his boyfriend's party.
Look, I mean, everybody has the bad party boyfriend, but that has nothing to do with being gay or not.
That is true. That is true. He's just Amy Winehouse with muscles.
Right. Right. There you go. And so we were talking about Chao, like, looking around and like, trying to blame Sahm for stuff. It's like, no, you've created some of your own problems, and Happy Jack's minions are back in the picture. Except it's not Happy Jack. It's the second flunky, because Happy Jack's, dead.
Yeah. I wonder what this guy's name is. Like, moderately amused Charlie?
There you go.
Cheerful Charlie?
I mean, we get to see Wang Chao in his, like, fastest talking, deal making, this is like the Wang Chao I kind of miss.
See, I wanted to see the pocket Derringer pop out and just have him shoot that man right in the eye. Him just be like, oh, really? Kapow! Right in the eye. But
yeah, except there were like 30 other dudes, and a Derringer only has like, 1-2 shots, depending on your Derringer.
True, but I mean, at this point, Chao will have killed the top two guys in their gang. So at some point, they're going to say, maybe this is not something I want to continue trying.
That's true, but,
the odds are bad.
But, I mean, Chao's brain is always looking for the two birds, one stone kind of operation, and that's exactly where he goes, once again.
Oh, yeah, because he's always trying to pile his trouble together. It's if there's one takeaway from Wang Chao's managing his own life, it's pile all your troubles together whenever you can. To me, it seems like a terrible plan, but he loves it.
Sweep it all under one rug instead of little piles under lots of rugs.
Yeah, it's a terrible. It just seems unmanageable to me. He takes something that you could easily like plot out 5 steps to get through, and then he's like, oh no, I'm going to add like 10 different layers of difficulty to this,
and some curly cues and flourishes.
Yeah, and each one of the things has to be contingent upon the other thing going perfectly, or else the whole plan is fucked.
But that's his style, and to be fair, so far hasn't gotten him killed. I mean, it's gotten him a lot of influence, so why not go with what works? Sort of like how Mai Ling finally got smashed in the face. Manipulating men had always worked for her.
Yeah, right up until the point that it stopped.
It stopped. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, at least he's consistent, I guess.
Whenever you get reliant on one strategy to solve every problem, that will eventually come to haunt you. And I can speak from personal experience on that one as well. A hammer does not fix all problems. Sometimes you need a screwdriver. Sometimes you need something else altogether.
Yeah. And so Wang Chao manages to talk them out of it because these are kind of like second-rate gangsters, and they're still like figuring out the how to be in charge thingy. And new head guy, of course, is like, ooh, if I can make a really big deal, that'll totally make my name. So he's willing to listen to Wang Chao's thing. He's ready to set that up. But you know who finds even crappier gangsters?
You watched this whole fucking fight scene with your eyes closed. Tell the truth, you did. You don't even know what happened. You don't even know what happened in this fight scene.
Okay, you're the fight guy.
Because it was so goddamn brutal, it was amazing. This is the best fight scene that's ever been in a TV show ever.
What?
Number 1, we had a curbing. This has only happened once ever in film. We had the curb stomp in American History X, and then we had a man have to bite the bar counter and got punched in the back of the head twice to die. Oh, it was.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about the fight scene in Leary's bar.
Yes.
That's where I was going. I was like, yeah, these are crappy gangsters.
Oh,
like,
I know. I was just saying, you probably didn't even see any of the teeth flying out of that man's face. You didn't see the back of his head cave in when Leary hit him the second time.
Oh my God!
His face
unfortunately,
was ruined
I did.
when it came off the counter.
That was not the shape of a head by the time he was done with that.
No. It looked like a smashed pumpkin. It was crazy.
Yes.
And that was the second man that he killed because he smashed a beer mug over a guy's head and stabbed him in the throat with the handle.
I mean, these guys were so bottom of the barrel. They were just standing there. He's like, yeah, I got a crowbar. I'm going to really mess you up. I was like, Leary's like, I'm just drinking my beer, sizing you up, figuring out who I got to take out first.
That's because Lai already killed all the decent ones. She killed the giant man. She killed everybody. all he's got left is these ruffians from down the street.
Just pulling them out of the bottom of the barrel.
They were dudes that Leary was already like, you guys are too much of a pussy and drunk to be on my crew. So go elsewhere.
Yeah.
Go be drunk somewhere else.
Yes.
And you can't drink at my bar either.
Right. As much as the glassware, again, is so very wrong, I still love what he does with it here. Just like starts off with the beer stein and just goes ham from there.
Yes, this would not have been a crystal beer stein like you see in, where are we seeing these things? Pizza Hut is the only one that has crystal beer mugs that I can recall. I'm sure bars have them sometimes, but...
Oh, yeah, and like, just like different places, like their Bojo's in Colorado used to give you like a frosty mug of root beer. It was very fun.
Oh. Yeah, those mugs are fun. They're very weighty, too.
Yes. But no, Glass Tech at this point was not up to those beer mugs at all. No.
They would have just been using like metal beer steins, right?
Or pottery or wood. They were probably doing leather ones, except out on the very far frontier. But yeah, wood or pottery mainly, and then metal would have come later.
Okay, because I know in Germany at this time, most of the gyms were attached to, like private gyms were attached to bars. And so you would walk into the bar, you'd put your stein on the shelf or whatever, and then you go in, lift some weights, come over, drink some beer, eat some Wurst, and then go back and lift some more weights and then go out on the beach and things like that. So it was kind of it was all one kind of deal. Did they keep a stein on the wall in the bar, or was... Like, for the regulars, did they have their own stein that they would leave on the wall, do you think? Or
you know what? I have no idea. I'm sure there are places that did, especially if you had a barkeep who came from sort of more like a communally minded setup, sort of like a lot of the old German states definitely did.
Okay.
I don't know if, like, Protestants, British Protestants were into that kind of weirdness, or... So, I don't know. I have not...
Because I remember you saying that, like, with laundry, like, nobody would ever get their laundry mixed up because each shirt or pants was distinctive to the person who owned it. And so I'm sure their steins had to be similar as well because they were all handcrafted.
Right, so I can see, people would, like, bring their stein into the bar and just, like, leave it there. So it would just have their own cooties on it all the time. Yeah, that's very possible. Huh. I have not looked into this aspect.
Oh?
Yeah.
Well, there's something we can delve into.
There you go.
You can pick some of the teeth and maybe a bit of that guy's palate out of the mugs and wash, give him a little wash.
You just check it out and rinse it with a little extra beer and you're good. Right. We're good. Fine.
That was the most brutal. That was like horror movie brutal. It was so gnarly.
Yes, it was. In my notes, I wrote, that was some straight up horror makeup right there.
Yeah, it was wild. That was some of the best effects you'll ever see in TV.
Because I was just like, wow, they sort of saw what Lai did at the crib brothel, and they're like, you know what? We could just go a little further.
Yeah, we could kick this up a notch. Leary's got some rage to work through, and then he gives that, like, primordial scream at the end, too, where he's just like, he is ready to keep killing.
Yes. Here is your body count for you here, right here.
So, do we think Strickland dies in the next episode? I'm going to say yes. I bet he does.
Oh, I think he's pissed off enough people. My question is...
Who kills him?
Does the quote-unquote Atoy the swordsman get him? Or is it going to be another one of the variety of people who wants him dead?
Maybe it'll be one of those, to kind of give us that 19th century bizarre amalgam of alliances that ended up like in the Prohibition and stuff like that. We'll have some kind of Atoy, Leary temporary team up as they run into each other trying to wipe out Strickland. And they're like, maybe I don't hate you as much as I hate this fucking guy, so let's kill him together.
And then we'll never speak of it again. That is entirely possible as well.
Yeah.
So... I don't know, but I don't think Strickland is going to make it out of episode 10 alive. He has really poked too many bears. I don't care how rich you are, dude.
Yeah. At some point, the chickens come home to roost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or the oysters.
Or the oysters.
In the case of the 19th century.
Yes.
When did they start eating chickens in the United States? It wasn't until the 20th century?
Pretty much. I mean, there have always been chickens around, but chickens were much more kind of like special occasion food. Chickens were handy because they, helped with your garbage issue. They would eat all the food scraps and everything. And then, every so often... you would have chicken in the pot, fried chicken, whatever. You'd keep them around for eggs. But you would, you'd have your little flock of chickens. And so chicken meat was actually kind of a special thing that happened.
Okay.
In the spring, sort of, quote unquote, the spring chicken, that was usually the extra roosters that would get eaten because you don't want to have a bunch of roosters in your chicken yard. They just cause problems.
They're mean as shit.
Yeah, and if you have...
And if people don't know, like, they are dinosaurs, and chickens will fuck you up. They'll kill cats. They'll kill all kinds of shit. They're mean as hell.
Right, and so if you had two roosters in your chicken yard, they would just fight each other all the time, and it was just hell. And they'd, like, peck on... Like, each of them would have, like, their own little harem of hens, and, like, one rooster would pick on the other harem of hens. So you'd always eat the roosters once you figured out which ones were roosters, and they started being roostery. So those were your spring chickens.
Oh, so not all male chickens are roosters?
Oh, no. It's just when they're little chicks, like peep, 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 peep.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, you're not sure. And even as they get kind of like teenagery, some of them don't start to develop the roostery characteristics. But like once they develop their roostery characteristics, that's when you're like, whoop, extra ones going in the pot.
Yeah, and even then they were way smaller than they are now. But still, you still don't want that angry
they still
ass.
have those big old spurs, man.
Yeah, that velociraptor coming after you.
But anyway, so everybody kind of had their yard chickens and whatever, but you didn't eat them very often, either if they were an extra rooster or they just weren't laying eggs very well anymore. But you didn't have chicken like every night or once a week. It was a special occasion food. And so it really wasn't until the 20th century, I think about the 1940s, that commercial chicken operations really got up and running. And then the electrification of rural areas is what really led to nearly year-round eggs and everybody being able to get chickens all the time. You had these like huge hatcheries and these huge chicken houses, and you needed electricity to pull that off.
Gotcha. And a complete lack of moral compunction about how animals are treated, I guess.
Well, they're just animals, Jamie. What are you talking about? Jeez. You some kind of soft person there?
Yeah, exactly. Fucking bleeding heart over here.
Yeah.
Just gross. What do I know? Burn him!
All I know is that sick chickens don't actually make you as much money, and so we couldn't get really terrible about our chicken keeping until we started feeding them antibiotics. That's when chicken keeping got real gross.
Yeah, I've already started my slow and gradual progression into vegetarianism. It's inevitable. I really had the pedal down on eating too much protein for a very long time. I was going like 2 grams of protein minimum per pound of body weight, which is way more than twice as much as you need. And
way too much.
Yeah. And so I just committed untold animal atrocities in the course of trying to lift more weight. It's pretty stupid and sad, but here we are.
There are a lot of ways to do it, but there are some interesting conversations to be had about, would you still eat meat if the animal has had largely a good life?
Yeah.
As one of my vet friends said, just one bad day.
Yeah, I mean, I can absolutely see that. I mean, it makes a case for eating oysters. I just won't. I'd rather just...
Or wild boar.
Yes, because fuck those things.
Yeah, right? See? Okay.
Yeah. Giant murder monsters.
Well, before we get both the meat eaters and PETA coming after us, how about we move on into the end of this one.
PETA needs to cut a commercial that's just like an army of like capuchin monkeys riding wild boars out of the jungle, like screaming in war cries, coming to do battle with all of us. I think that would be nice to kind of drive it home. What's going on in Florida? And maybe we should stop fucking with nature.
Because nature will win. That's the thing. You know, we're ruining the Earth. Like, Earth will be fine. Humans will be in trouble. Like, our life will be sucky and uncomfortable. Earth will be fine. Yeah,
those 300-foot anacondas they'll have in Florida will be the only thing alive, other than the giant pigs.
Right?
Pigs and monkeys and giant anacondas.
So I sort of feel like the body count has not quit, because next week's episode is called A Window of Fucking Opportunity. So that sounds gangster as hell, and more people are definitely gonna die.
Well, and we know that this season finale was what encouraged Netflix to pick it up. So this,
really?
Of all of the episodes, I looked up the ratings. I don't know what possessed me to do that, but the ratings of each episode, because this one was rated really high. It was like 9.3 stars out of 10. Whoa. And the last one was 8.8, and I was like, how the hell could that happen? And then now we know.
How do you top that?
Yeah, it's Leary's fight. But, so this next one is 9.2 or something like that. It's really, like, this is the one. This is the one that everybody loved. So it's,
boy.
Yeah, and we'll see how, I mean, it'll be exciting to see if the murder in the next one transcends the murder in this one.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see just who makes it out of episode 10, because
do you think Yan Mi will survive this next episode?
I have a good feeling. Like, she has been written as such a person who makes decisions quickly when it really comes down to it. Like, her dad was getting really messed up, and she's like, fine, I'll go work for the gangsters. And so I think, you know, now that her family has said, you brought shame on us, and blah, 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 she's going to be like, fine, if I can get out of this, I'm outie, because I am never going to make you happy anyway, and I am going to get one more chance to get out. So if she gets the chance to get out, I think she's beaten the street.
All right. Well, we shall see next week. I think Yan Mi is going to die and Strickland are going to die. I think they're both going to die. That's my call.
Okay, I think Strickland is definitely toast. Or a red smear on the ground, however you want to do it.
I don't think Leary cares anymore. He already has a live pissed off Strickland.
The other question is, are we going to get yet another showdown between Sahm and Leong?
There's no reason to now. I feel like they're going to team up. I've been feeling like they were going to team up since season 1. So that they're the perfect pair. It's, I mean, the buddy cop movie right there, all over it.
Right, and they did like kind of do some serious back-to-back when there was the riot in Chinatown at the end of last season. And so they haven't been teasing a fight, but I still feel like we need to have them either definitely fight each other or definitely fight back-to-back in the final episode.
Or make out.
But that's always an option too. Yeah.
There we go. You know, maybe Hong's influence can be extra pernicious.
Yeah, Leong's like, I don't know, kissing girls hasn't gotten me anything good.
Might as well give this a go. Right? Can't be any worse than his sister.
I mean, she's gonna kill me anyway, so maybe I could go for some of that protection. Yeah, and that's why Yan Mi hits the streets.
I was thinking another 48 hours or something like that, but it's really turning into Thelma and Louise. The two of them are just going to go take a road trip into the West.
Yep. So, yeah, we'll have to see how it goes down, how we topped this episode in terms of bloodthirstiness, and go from there.
Absolutely. All right, so we both have a week of thrilling stuff ahead of us. I'm going to be posting every day on Instagram at Plague of Strength. What do you have going on this week?
Well, by the time this one comes out, I will probably be starting season 4. And I will be entering into the 19th century for realsies in the History of American Food podcast. And it's going to be...
Ooh.
Yes.
So when you say for realsies, you mean post-War of 1812?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're going to start to have, the birth of mechanized food in America. And... the rise of the railroad and how that's all going to change everything.
A belly full of sea snot to start every day.
Only if you're rich in the Midwest.
If you're poor, what were you eating in the Midwest? Locusts?
Oh, no. Then if you're poor in the Midwest, then you're just eating like the salt pork and antelope, Rabbits.
Oh, okay.
Lots of
I
rabbits.
guess the Dust Bowl hadn't happened yet. That
No.
was the 1920s.
Yeah. No, it's still all like big time pioneer stuff.
Ah, good old pioneer stuff.
All right. So, excitement, both sides.
Yes.
We'll be back next week for episode 10.
Until next week, and enjoy those oysters, everyone. They're gains. So gross.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
We're on Instagram at PCG Podcast. And you can always reach out to us by email at pcgpodcasters@gmail.com. And you can find more dope beats like this one from royalraven.com.